Hello everyone and welcome to Test Automation Fundamental Series Module 6. If you didn't watch any of the previous modules in this series, I would highly recommend to check the link from the description of this video to get the complete context. Let's launch Eclipse and open our project which we created in previous module. Let me open Eclipse. Launch Eclipse. It gave me this small dialog and I will say okay, launch it, and once it opens then I will open my project. Let's see, waiting for its loading. Okay, so this is the project we created, a test automation project on in our previous module. So if you are a Windows user or a Mac user, it will be working in both ways. You just go there and double click on this project, and once you double click it, you will see it has opened, and then you expand and you can find that fundamental module, that package which we created, and then I will open that fundamental package and see hello Java. So hello testing, we created this class file in our previous module, and let's just see what did we do. We opened a browser. What I will do now, just to keep our work clear and easy for the tracking purpose, I will create a new class and call it maybe module 6. Because today is module 6, so I will call it the name, and I also want to create a main function so that we can run our project. Okay, so we have a main class. I will delete this comment section. For the convenience, what I will do, I will simply go to my previous file and copy the code which we completed in previous section so that we don't need to rewrite it and spend time for the new things. And let's close that one so that we know that we are on the new. So what did we do here? If I analyze a little bit, in our previous section we initialized a WebDriver manager and asked WebDriver managers to manage Chrome driver setup, and then we asked Chrome options to yeah, this is something which I added because I wanted to open it a new monitor. So otherwise we created WebDriver and said new Chrome driver. So I added a little bit of code here that is more like a bringing a browser, so I don't have to drag that browser from my other monitor to this monitor. So it's more like a little bit facilitation. And then after that, what we did, we asked driver to open our test application. Once it opens, then we checked the application title page, what is the page title, and then we print it in our console. So this is where we are. And now what I do, I will open our test application here so that we know where we are in the test application. So on this test application landing page, if you see, we have few tabs here, 4 tabs, some buttons, and now we want to do some interaction. Let's write few line of code so that we know how the interaction will work, and once that interaction is done, then it will be easy for us to understand. Let's pick a truck tab. So how to do that? As a human, if I go there, I just click on it. It's my truck tab. But for the application, For the Selenium, I need to tell Selenium, hey, WebDriver, go there and click on it. So to do that, I would right click on it, inspect. In the inspect mode, I would have, yeah, this is my track. And if I see, I have a few attributes. One of the attribute is ID. What I will do, I will use ID and go to my Eclipse and say driver dot find elements by ID, and the ID is I just copied, and that ID is for track, and then click on it. So once you click on it, then what you do? Once you click on it, what will happen? We would have a page loaded with few fields. Now imagine, here is a difference now. As a human, if I come here and I want to test it, I can go, let's say, one by one on these fields. Let's say I click on it, it's a drop down. It has almost 10, 12 entries. I can pick any data. Or even I can go back and no, I don't want to pick data. Oh, no, it is a select an option. So it means it's a required field. Now I see analyze. It has an asterisk on the right side. So that any field with the asterisk is actually a required field. If I don't do that, it looks like it's in error state and it will not allow us to do something. It will definitely do something if we don't handle it. So it means we need to provide some data. And then the next field is a simple plain text field. Looks like as a user, I come here and say, okay, put some data. I said, no, you cannot put this data. You must put some kind of a number here. So it means this is not anything but even if it's a number, still it needs to be between 1 and 2000. So it means we need to be very specific for this data. And same with the, when I come to the date, it says date is a required field, and then I say, okay, if it's a required field, let's say go there and pick some data. I say no, must be today or somewhere in the past. So this date has two type of validation applied on it. So it means the number one is if it's a required, the number two is it cannot be in the future. So it means when I'm using any application manually, basically I see all these indications and accordingly I provide some data. However, when I interact through a WebDriver or through a script, then there are some limitations. So what are those limitations? If I go back to my code and try to analyze this code, what actually it does. Let's see. Let me bring some marker here. Here is a driver. That is our instance which we initiated. And it's a WebDriver instance. Since a driver, can you find a web element for us? So which web element? And that element has a locator type ID, and the value of that locator is nav underscore track. And once you find that specific web element, then we need to perform an action. The action is, because it was a link, just click on it. So if I see this statement, because it was a link, it was pretty straightforward. However, if I go back in application now and let me go to the browser and see in this application, if I click on this guy, it's not only a click. I need to click on it. I need to pick some value and then click on that value. Then only it will be loaded. However, in the case of text field, it's different. I need to type some data. Okay, so let's see. Here comes some kind of lab work also. So what we do on this field, on this page, let me open a notepad here so that we know that what we want to do and what we want to achieve. Let's say some lab work and class work. Let's say this is our lab work, and this lab work, and if I say the lab work, let me clean this area first. Then what I will do, I will handle, if you see, this is a drop down, this is a text field, this is more like a close to text field. So let's say if I handle these three, then this is another drop down. This is a third drop down, and then all these are the text fields. So it means if I handle three fields, the logic would be same for all the fields except the button, but the button will be exactly the same which we click. So I will handle the button also, and in that way basically our lab work is you handle all these fields which are remaining. So we will only cover these three. If I go on to the next tab, it has some text, date, and gender. I would say skip gender from the lab work, and then text, drop down, yeah, pick some country, and then text field, yes, and then drop down, and then it's a checkbox. I would say skip checkbox, and then go to the next page. Then we have two checkboxes. So I would say skip checkbox, skip radio buttons. Other than that, complete in your lab work. And what I will do, I will handle these three fields in this module. Let's start. So to do that, we need, what do we need? If I open my here, it's our session. So the first thing which we needed to tell driver, that was the locator, and then the action. What kind of action you want to do that? Okay, let me come back here and let me open the page where we want to handle. Not this page. Let me open the page and this. Okay, and this is the make. Let me see, inspect, just like the same way we did with the truck tab, and say okay, ID is make, and if I write these in my notes, then it will be easy to write. Okay, so make field, and I say ID is equal to this, and then the data. So it means we also need to provide some test data. Let's pick some, let's say I say Nissan. Okay, my test data for this field is Nissan. Okay, the next is the engine performance. And in the engine performance, I will do the same, inspect, and it has some ID again. So I pick this ID in the engine performance, and what data? Let's say, what was the data validation? It's a between 1 and 2000. Let's say we go with 1400 is our target data. And I copy this data and come back here and say test data this is my test data for this, and then next is a date of manufacture. Okay, so the first thing is inspect data, inspect this web element. It has an ID. I will come back and say, okay, it has an ID. And what data I want to fill. So this was a required field, and also it did not allow us to pick any date in future. So I pick, let's say, 14 August, and copy this data and come back to our text file where I can say test data is this. Okay, we have three fields. We have three fields data. I will go to code and then we'll handle this data quickly. Let's say this is a code, and the first thing was a make. What I will do, because a make, it looks, although it looks simple, but it has a, you need to click on it, then you need to pick some data. Come on, what happened? Okay, so you need to a couple of actions. So what I will do, I will handle first engine performance, and then we will handle this. So in that way, basically, it will be easy, and then step by step we can do that comparatively in easier mode and understanding mode. Okay, let's see. I will handle first driver that find element by dot id. We got the id, and what is the id? Let's go to the text file which we created with all those attributes. It's, we are working with the engine performance. So, okay, engine performance id, and what you need to do, dot click. Once you click, it will give you all options, what its functions, what it can do. We want to send some text. So if I say just logically send, so yeah, send keys is the option, and I want to send some text. And what is that text? And text is basically my data. And say, okay, this is my data, and please send it. So this is pretty straightforward, but let's check it so that we know that it is. Let me save it first, and then I will run it. And then we'll know if it is working. If it works, then we will complete the remaining two fields before the end of the session. It will click on track, and on the track field, it's actually added 1400. Okay, that is cool. I will close this page, and now quickly I will complete the other two fields. So this is a little bit complicated field, but what I will do, I will first handle the third field, which if I go here in the application, the third field is a date of manufacture. Let's see if, come on, if I say driver dot find element same, and we actually copied an ID, and ID is a text, and after that it's the same way because it's a more like a keys. We also want to send some keys, and let's see now, go to our text file, and the text file was date of manufacture ID, and ID copy here, and the data which we copied from here, I will copy it here. Okay, so these are pretty straightforward. The only thing is the combo. Now let's go back to our application to see how many steps in combo were. We need to click on it, pick some value, and click on the value so the value is loaded. Okay, let's come back to our Eclipse. Okay, the first thing is we need to find the element. It means driver dot find element, and we know that we already identified some ID and say the ID is there. And let's go to this file. The ID was this. Okay, so now this is interesting because in here basically what we want to do, first of all we want to identify web element. Then we want to handle that web element in a way that inside the element there are some other options. So it means we need some other type of control as well. So there is a control in Selenium called select, and if I did that select, actually it is giving me a red script line, and I will type control space. Then it says Selenium has a select type this. Do you want to import this library? Yeah, please import it for me. And it says select, and what I need to do that once I select, I go inside my drop down and pick some option. Let's see, call it option. And in my option, if I say, because I need to initialize a new initialize select, and it say, yeah, give me an element. So it means basically select is a control and say, okay, when I'm getting initialized, pass me your web element which you want, and then I will handle it. Okay, at this moment I basically did not assign my web element which is coming out. So let's see, web element, this is my drop down make, and oh, web element is giving me problem, and click control and space. It says, yeah, you want to import this library, yeah please. Okay, so my web element is there now, and I'm saying that this web element is select. Can you please take this web element? So, oh yeah, it's happy. It's okay. So this web element, and what I want to do with that now, the variable which I created is an option. It's a, okay, option. What type of the possibilities you have? I want to do select some, so it has an option, select by index, select by value, select by visible text, and what actually we picked. Let me see. We thought we will be giving Nissan. Okay, so I would say, okay, select by visible text, and the text, our target text is basically Nissan. Okay, here you go. So what I did, I created a web element, assign, and then I passed that web element to a select control, and then variable of that control, I said, yeah, I passed the Nissan data, which is my test data. So these three fields are done. And let me quickly click on the next button as well. Driver, but find element by, oh, did we check? No, okay. We need to go back to our application because we did not identify its locator. So we need to find its locator. It's this ID. Okay, come back to Eclipse by ID, and the ID is this. And once you get this ID, can you please click on it? Okay, so we passed our make data, we pass engine performance, and we handed over the date, and then we say, okay, click on it. Let's see, save and run it as a Java application. Okay, so what it did, it took us to the second tab. And if I go back to the tab 1, it filled the Nissan, it filled the 1400, it filled the date of manufacture. So that was our today's task which we completed, and I would recommend everyone to complete this lab work, which is filling all this data from here, then the data on this field, leave the gender and these checkboxes, and then the fill data on these tabs, all three tabs. What I will do, by next module, I will complete that, and in next module, I will bring with all my work, but I will expect everyone they complete their own these hands-on. It will help you out to understand how to handle it. And if you have any questions or queries, you can drop your all the questions in the comment sections, and I will definitely coordinate with you guys and help you to understand and answer those questions. See you in next module. I will also upload this file in GitHub and provide the link in description section of this video also. Okay, see you in next module. Bye everyone.